What's your helicopter parent horror story? One of my best friends who is 22 is still controlled by his mom. He has to be in constant contact with her every 20, sometimes 10 minutes. If she can't get in contact, she'll ring my phone. If that doesn't work, she goes all out search party. She won't let him be around certain people she deems an undesirable, which makes hanging out with him hard. Up until around when he turned 17, he wasn't allowed off his road. He was picked up every day from school and she would visit him at lunchtime. He wasn't allowed plug-in electrical items up until around 15 or so. She still runs his life, but not to such an extreme extent. My friend has two absolute idiots. The fact that she managed to come out smart and healthy is a miracle. For parents who also don't give her any privacy, her stay-at-home mom spends half her time tracking her and her siblings via Find My iPhone. Anyways, she went off to college in upstate New York, where cell service is pretty spotty off campus. Her geology course had a field trip for a couple hours, and when she regained service, her mother had posted that she went missing in the woods and was likely kidnapped. Authorities had been contacted and everyone was freaking out. I was so embarrassed for her. Her stay-at-home mom spends half her time tracking her and her siblings via Find My iPhone. I'm half sure that my dad does that to my siblings, which is one of the reasons I convinced him to get me an Android phone instead. I have a friend who knows that his son is going to be a great NFL quarterback. The kid is 9 and is decent, but his father has him work with different trainers and spend hours each day practicing. He takes vitamins, has a special diet, can't have friends sleep over, and isn't allowed to play other sports because his dad wants him to focus completely on football and doesn't want to risk an injury playing another sport that would sideline him for football. I know that he has told his father that he doesn't want to play anymore, but the dad wouldn't let him quit. He says that he doesn't want to raise a quitter and doesn't want his son to waste his potential. There isn't much you can say to him at this point. He truly believes that his son will be in the NFL one day. My uncle was like that with my cousin. He was a great hockey player, but his dad, with his temper and his pressure, made him hate the sport. One day, at 15, my cousin sold his entire hockey equipment for a couple of bucks. His dad was furious, but in time I think he finally understood why he did it. I work in the administration side of higher education. Parents somehow get my number and ask if I would be able to get in touch with their 18, 19, sometimes 20-year-old student and make sure that they're studying or not out partying. Sure, we want to encourage students to do that, but I cannot freaking walk to their dorm room, knock on the door and make them stay in on Friday and do their chemistry homework. I work IT at a college. Most of the calls I get are from mommies and daddies reaming me the frick out because they sign the checks. They should have full access to their adult child's course selection, grades, email, etc. Sadly, some kids sign waivers and let their parents choose fricking classes for them. I had a newly hired 19-year-old woman inform me, with 1 day notice, that she would not be in for the following 2 weeks because her family was going on vacation. This was a retail position. She wanted to be off between the 18th of December through New Year's. I told her that she couldn't keep her job and go on vacation. It was a choice. Her mommy called me the next day absolutely furious that I would expect her to change her family vacation plans just to accommodate me. I told her that I couldn't speak to her about an employee's situation. She grew increasingly angry. I repeatedly insisted that I cannot speak about her adult daughter's employment with anyone but her. She was spitting mad by the time I hung up. She called the next day to inform me that she had reported me to corporate for mistreating her daughter. This was a small family business. I was corporate. My amigo comes over to my apartment one day with his friend from work, who I have never met before. We hang out for a little bit, just acting like stupid dudes. The new guy gets a call from his mom. I can hear how upset she is as he's talking to her. He has to go home immediately and I agree to give him a lift. We're at his house in about 4 minutes. He didn't live far away from me. As we're pulling into his driveway, another car drives up. It's his mom and she is crying hysterically and shaking all over. She had waited for 2 minutes after she got off the phone with him and then she went out looking for him. He was in his early 20s. That poor guy. My boyfriend's parents. Oh my god. Last year we went to Sydney for a week. His mum messaged him every night to say goodnight and every morning to say good morning. She also books all his doctor's appointments for him. and insists on coming to them. Recently we moved in together and I will often wake up to find her in my house, looking for him. She has woken me up to ask where he is on more than one occasion. I sleep without pants on. It's awkward. Did I mention he's 26? Because he's 26 and she still does this. He thinks it's as weird and annoying as I do. I worked at the front desk of my dorm building in college. A mom called in once demanding that we install a cellular tower above the building because her son was getting terrible reception in his room. She said she didn't want him to have to go outside after dark for their nightly bedtime conversation in his jammies. She didn't seem to understand or care that the university has little to no control over where cell companies install cell towers. We tried telling her to talk to him earlier in the day, but she said she needed to hear his voice right before he went to bed. My mother wouldn't let me out of the house until I was 18 and moved away. I wasn't allowed to have friends. I wasn't allowed to go outside. I was told that if I did go outside, I'd be kidnapped. Lol, my mom doesn't let my siblings, who are 23 and 26, go out after 9 when they come visit home, haha. I think she's loosening up now, but for the time that happened. I feel like this was more a reflection of the student, but here's the story anyway. I was a sophomore in college, and one of my peers from high school was starting as a freshman at the same college. We didn't have any classes together, but we participated in the same extracurricular that year. One day she came into the lounge pretty upset. She said one of her professors had yelled at her class as a whole because majority of the students didn't complete their homework. My friend was one of the few students who did complete the homework. The following class day, the professor received a phone call from my friend's mother, telling him off for yelling at my friend despite her having completed her homework. It was the talk of the campus for that week. I was vicariously embarrassed by the whole situation. I had a teacher one time who yelled at the class as a whole for doing poorly on a pop quiz. She called me out in particular for reading during class. She later apologized to me because I had gotten a perfect score on the pop quiz. Not me, but another woman who was an intern for barely a day. This happened last year. We were starting the introduction for the interns and some woman decided to bring her mother along to work. Mind you, we have pretty tight security with a security guard for the parking lot as well as the building. The parking lot guard is pretty lenient due to drop-offs, but the intern and her mom enter the building and the guard requested their company IDs. Obviously her mother doesn't have one since she doesn't work for us. The interns obtained their IDs after the orientation, which was the week before. This woman's mother was asked to leave the premises since she wasn't an employee at the company. She refuses to until she met her boss. I get paged down by security to deal with the situation. While I may not be this woman's boss directly, I am her intern advisor and do have authority over her. I proceed to tell her mother to leave the premises because she is not authorized to be here. The daughter is pretty much siding with me and asking her mom to leave as well, but this argument is going nowhere. I eventually issued an ultimatum of, if you don't leave right now, mom, I will ask you both to leave. Permanently, as in her daughter will be fired. She didn't take that lightly and threatened to beat me. At this point, the police were called in to deal with the situation and showed up very quickly and arrested both of them. The police usually hang around outside my company's HQ to help direct traffic at start-stop hours, so it was a quick dispatch for them. TLDR version. Don't bring your parents into work with you unless they work with you. Oh man, I feel so bad for that girl. We hired some kid at work, fast food, and his mom came with him on his first day and filled out all of the paperwork for him while he just sat there at the table. He didn't last very long. People like that rarely ever do. My husband is a doctor. He was interviewing candidates for a job as a pathologist. One woman brought her mom to the interview. Mind you, this is not a high school or college kid. This is a woman that went to college, went to medical school, completed a path residency, and did fellowship after residency. We were surprised she had gotten this far in life. She did not get the job. Former grocery manager here. I had a kid that had been sent out to get carts, and the front desk calls and says he's been gone for 45 minutes, and no one can find him. I walk the entire store, back to front, checking everywhere for this kid. Walked the lot out front and back. Nothing. He lived close so he walked to work, so I didn't have to find his car. Pro tip, your managers often know your vehicles. So I get his number from the front and call him. Sorry dude, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not coming back again, okay? Good riddance. Until a few days later when I get the letter in the mail on city stationery. It's the kid's uncle. He goes on about how I'm on the city county council and a businessman near your store and my nephew said he was fired for absolutely no reason. Bull crap. So I text my boss and give him the gist of the letter and how I intended to respond. The guy wanted an email from a manager. My boss okays my response and tells me to BCC himself in the DM to cover my butt. So I respond, as a businessman, I'm sure you have run into occasions where you find that there are two sides to every story and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Yes, your nephew doesn't have a job with us anymore, but he was not fired and his paperwork does not reflect as such. He was coded as abandoning his position after he walked away from the store, causing me to lose almost an hour and a half searching for him. I have the call record on my phone still where he said he wasn't feeling it and wasn't coming back. I basically went on to say that his nephew needed to learn that since he is a minor, those in charge of where he works are responsible for him, and his actions were very, very uncool. I got a tail between the legs apology from said council member, and the issue was dropped. My mom's friend has a son for whom she does literally everything. This woman drives 4 hours to her son's college every weekend to do his laundry for him, proofread his master's degree papers and give him new books to read in his personal library. She also cooks for him and gives him 2 weeks worth of meals every time she visits. Helicopter mom does not begin to describe her. Anyway, he is driving to his place of work during the summer as an intern when she gets a call. He explains how he had diarrhea and couldn't hold it anymore so he made a mess in the car. This mom, no joke, drives the 3 hours to his house, helps him wipe up his car and himself, and then does his crap covered laundry. I am glad that my mom does not love me that much. I don't think that's love. I think that's control. I know someone who's an intern at an extremely prestigious establishment. The mother of one of her co-interns has decided to try to set her 21-year-old son up with another of the interns. Somehow said mother got her number and texts her all the time. She got her to organize a birthday party for him, texts her to make sure he's included in social things, and even got a birthday present for him shipped to her house and made her Uber home and then back to the office to get it and give it to him. My mom wants us to be together is such a romantic pickup line. Swoon. My mommy told me I couldn't go for a walk on the beach by myself because it was too dangerous. I was 26. The kid was 4 and needed a couple of fillings. I had already given him a shot of anesthetic. The kid didn't even know it thanks to a combination of cartoons, distraction and trickery. Then his mom bursts into the operatory. She had gone to the bathroom and said, "Oh my god, did he stab you with that giant needle? My poor boy." I tease okay mom is here now. I pulled mom out right then and told her that she could only watch from behind the op as long as she didn't let him know she was there. The kid did great without her. This same lady also pulled the "now you better brush good or else you're going to have to go through this again." I didn't even think about doctors and dentists having to deal with helicopter parents. Love my mum, but she was a Uber helicopter parent. She regularly read my diary in middle high school. I once wrote an entry about wanting to try riding the bull when I would eventually start getting intimate. She casually mentioned that the only position God wanted for people was missionary. I'm in the military. One of my new kids fricked up a bit and I gave him some incredibly minor paperwork. Normally this type of paperwork is inconsequential. He told his mom like 2 weeks later. She got my cell number from him and called me freaking out. What does this mean for his career? Is there some way you can undo it? I told her that I'm prohibited from discussing it with her. Legally I can't. She loses her crap. Starts trying to tell me that as the parent she has a right to know. Her taxes pay my salary so I work for her. Blah blah blah. I finally told her again that I can't discuss it and I was hanging up. I assumed this would be the end of it. Somehow she got the idea to call our first sergeant and blow him up. He calls me to verify what I told her, then tells me to have myself and the kid in his office in the morning to discuss. Kid gets told his mom called. He's incredibly embarrassed and apologizing his butt off. We spent some time explaining to him why we can't talk to her and why he needs to explain to her that she's only making things worse for him. Thought this was done until a few months later she calls the first sergeant again and beat him out for denying her kid leave to come home for her birthday. Only he never requested the time off. Sat him down again and found that he lied to her because he didn't want to go home and the reason he joined was to get away from her. He turned out to be pretty good in the end, but frick was his mom batshit insane. Oh my god, that poor kid had to join the fricking military to get away from his mom. A group of guys in my honors English 11 class got caught plagiarizing on a major research paper, worth about 20% of our final grade. My teacher initially gave them zeros because they had literally copy and pasted from different websites with literally zero effort to alter formatting or not get caught. But one of the guys' mother stepped in and talked to this teacher. She made said teacher cry and strong-armed her into giving the kids extra credits to bump their grade to an A because she had eliminated 4 children out of the running for valedictorian. The same parent also got a hold of the tests over the novels we read in freshman English by buying the full set of tests, which costs over $100. Her son made a 100. Everyone else failed. Me and a friend were on a trip and he, 17yo, was telling me about how his mom packed him lunch when he worked. Jokingly I asked if she picked out his clothes too. When we got to our room he unzipped his bag and inside were Ziploc bags filled with clothes labeled for each day of the week. Now he is telling me how his parents are coming to senior week with him. I was on a date skiing with a girl a while back when I was about 15. We were perfectly able to ski on our own, but my dad wouldn't leave the resort. He kept on checking up on us, being kind of a cock block. It was annoying because I was really trying to impress the girl and this one helping. Furthermore, it wasn't even my first date or anything. I had seen the girl many other times. I'm not sure why he'd pick this one. Now that I live away from home, I really miss seeing my parents every day. I kinda miss the less crazy helicopter support they gave me. My aunt and twin cousins visited the beach with us and we went to one of the boardwalk theme parks with one of those mini drop tower Frogger rides for kids. My aunt was scared for my cousins and tried to convince them not to ride it. My mom and I assured it would be fine and my cousins said it looked fun. When they got to the top you could see those smiles turn into shock and terror. As they dropped they started freaking out. Even worse, so did my aunt. She ran up to the ride operator and went, stop the ride right now, can't you see my babies are having a heart attack?" There were so many people in line and on the ride to witness this. 10 years later and I still have no plans to take them on any rides. TLDR. Nervous aunt made my cousin scared of a kiddie ride, then freaked out at the guy operating the ride in front of dozens of other people. My boss will drive 3 hours to get her son's GF, let her stay the weekend, then drive her back. Before they all dropped out of school she'd drive over an hour to do one of their laundry, clean and make him study for midterms. She runs her son's lives completely. They're all over 21 and she'll take their phones away or their freaking cars. The eldest lied to her that he was working overtime just so he could hang out with his friends at a diner. Not a bar, not a party, a freaking diner. Guess what? She flipped her crap and took his stuff for daring to have a tame social life. What I don't get is they've had decent jobs for years. Why don't they just get their own phones or cars or move the frick out already? Jesus, I'd be on the other side of the country. I work as a camp counselor during the summer and always see some minor cases of helicopter parents. I did, however, have the misfortune of seeing someone drop their kid off, wait an hour, then return to follow them around camp all day to make sure their kid was being taken care of. I felt pretty bad for the kid, because he was pretty young and his group had 2 breaks to the playground during the day. Poor kid wasn't allowed to climb on the jungle gym or go on the swings because his mom feared for his safety, so he had to watch his friends have fun while his mom fretted over him. I was working at a call center for a major bank handling credit card customer service. So a middle-aged woman with a thick Italian accent calls in furious, demanding to know how we could dare to charge her son interest, while she rants and raves about paying the bill in full and on time every single month and being the greatest customer ever. Somehow we have multiple best customers. I quickly fly through all the information on the account. Within about 20 seconds I've ascertained that indeed it is normally paid in full, usually $4KMN paid by mom. Effing rich kids, and the payment was about 3 days late after a long weekend. If I was speaking to the client, this would be a simple explanation of it appears your payment was 3 days late, so our system automatically charge interest. But as a valued customer who always pays in full, I'm happy to reverse the charge. Insert further stroking here. However, I absolutely cannot divulge information to someone whose name isn't on the account, nor would I reverse interest for a child who's too damn lazy to call the bank himself and allows his mother to rant at his punes instead. When she finally stops to take a breath, I explain that due to privacy reasons I need to speak to her son, but I'm certain that I can help him. This results in a series of rants. I pay the account. I'm a bank customer too and I'll cancel my accounts. I have the anger management skills of a 6-year-old. You know, the usual BS. We go back and forth for a while and I invoke the almighty power of privacy laws to put up a stone wall while continuing to insist that this issue is easily resolved if I speak to him. Turns out the precious rich boy must need $4k month allowance since he lives in downtown too, and his parents live in the suburbs. Finally, in a moment of call center genius, I have a plan. The lady pays from her same institution account and has a copy of the bill which she believes was paid in time, but was actually late. So I transfer her to someone in banking after explaining to the poor sap what the situation is and that I need him to advise her what day the money left her account in the hopes that she can connect the dots. I'm eternally optimistic. This entire time I didn't look at the ages. I assume this kid is 18, 19, maybe 21 years old, probably in university. Parents always think they can still legally manage the finances of their adult students. So I check his profile. Turns out this rich frick is 28 years old with an actually career. TLDR. Mother pays $4k month for her son's credit card and screams at customer service for an interest charge. Son is 28 years old. You have been visited by the holy fruit boy. If you comment tiny turtle, he will bless you with unlimited holy fruits. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.